Witchy and Weird podcast.
Hi, Witchy and Weird. I am here with Lizzie, aka LB, who is a divination boss witch from the UK, our first ever UK guest.
Yay!
LB provides secular experiences for spiritual and business growth. So, hi, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
Yay.
Hello, Witchy and Weird. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty cool. I did an episode about divination a while ago when I first started, and LB and I connected about that, and we started to talk about different divination methods. And you actually shared that you wrote a book, or you are writing a book.
I'm writing a book. Yeah, I've been writing it since last March, and it's one of those where I'll write maybe 13,000 words or 200, no in between.
I feel like that's how the writing, any creative process goes. You're like, oh yes, I'm gonna do all of it, or I'm gonna do it in little tiny pieces and never look at it.
Absolutely. I will sit there and I'll just change the font, and I'm like, oh yes, smashed it today. I'm doing well. No, it's one of those. I'm writing, like you say, a book about divination. It's 26 methods of ancient divination methods that I'm upcycling and kind of repurposing for modern day. And it's all obscure, weirdo divination stuff, which is right up my street.
Yeah, I love that, because I think in modern witchcraft or spiritual spaces, it's mostly just tarot for divination. And when I did that research about the divination episode, I didn't the unfathomable amounts of different, you can make anything into divination, was blowing my mind. So I'm curious to know what prompted you to start getting into divination in your work, how you find these other forms of divination. Are they better? Are they worse? Are they easy? Are they more fun? How did you get there?
Right. Okay. So I have always been that weirdo that loves really obscure shit. I love anything yeah, I would not pay attention to anything in school until it was something super weird. And yeah, when they used to talk about how they used to find mutilated bodies back in the time of the plague and things like that. That's the time I would pay attention. I'd be like, wow, what are they doing with that? So I always think that that's really interesting. In terms of divination, me and tarot, I mean, I know I read tarot now and I enjoy it now. It's such an amazing tool, but I hated tarot to begin with. I'm not going to lie. It's not for everyone, right? So when it came to divination in my own practice, as I was growing up, I guess it was always oracle cards or my mum's angel cards, things like that. And it took until, I'm going to say 2015 to really accelerate for me. I went to I don't even know how to describe it. It was an art show. It was an art show in Oslo, in Norway. And it was my birthday. And I was just going to go do something obscure, because you do. And it was Murakami, the Japanese artist. They do a lot of Enso paintings. You may have seen them. They're just with one brush, they paint a circle with ink, with paint. It's a very popular print. It's stunning and beautiful. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And it's nothing really to do with the paints or how it was drawn or what else was being used there, but it was the ink side of things. And it was kind of evoking things in me. It wouldn't leave me alone. So as I'm thinking about it more, I then start looking into it. And it turns out that is a whole thing, ink divination, ink can speak to you in such a way. It's called enchromancy. And you'll actually find a lot of people loved it around the time that Rorschach tests became really popular. So like it's a similar thing. It's like the insight it provides you from like the drawing itself, using the ink in such a way. So that really spurred things on for me. And that's when I started to deep dive into some pretty weird shit. So there we go. That's what really sparked my love for divination. That's more than just tarot. Tarot is one of those things that it took for numerology for me to get into tarot. So like that's how that kind of fed through. And I find that using different divination methods in my day-to-day business stuff has been like such a game changer, because it's for kind of insights for my customers, insights for my clients, insights for myself. That's been really wild. And there's nothing better than following your own intuition and following what feels good and like what is there. And it helps you feel a bit more connected to your community, to the universe. It's really nice. So I'm like such a heavy advocate for divination in any practice.
So what are like some of your like go-to or your favorite forms of divination?
Oh, excellent question. So I have been really big in the past year on claromancy readings, which is like a casting of lots. I like using lithomancy, which is using crystals, and selecting. I recently actually posted a blog about this, so if you wanted to learn more, feel free to have a look. But crystals that kind of like intuitively call to you, and then you're checking out their correspondences and their meanings behind it, but utilizing that for a purpose, such as like content creation or self-care routines, right? Like that kind of connection. So there's that. But I have really been enjoying the claromancy, like casting of like beans or seeds, like for springtime stuff. And I'm just really getting into some coffee divination still at the moment. Like who doesn't love a little bit of Tassio, you know, like it's always nice. Yeah. I could just keep talking about divination. Like I love it.
So I feel like, I guess like for me personally, and what I've seen for other forms of divination, it's like with tarot, it's widely accepted. There's like kind of like a clarity of like how to use it. I feel like maybe the main thing that holds a lot of people back from exploring like other forms of divination is like, I don't know, like, how do I know how to read what beings mean? Like, because I've seen people like casting lots like with different like shapes and objects and things, or like even like with runes, it feels like, and they just like know what each thing means. So I don't know if there's like a specific, like, you have to know what it means, or if you're like, no, just intuitively you assign something to it and then you go for that. Like, how would you do that?
Well, like you say, intuitively go for it is a great place to learn, a great place to start. Like a lot of people, you talk about how tarot is like widely accepted. Like a lot of people intuitively learn tarot through the imagery. So it's like that kind of familiarity that you get with, such as like casting seeds and beans and such. It's the same with crystals, I guess, like how it takes you a while to learn all their correspondences and what they mean and what they're for. You can also intuitively turn that in your favor. Like reading flames on candles, you know, capnomancy with the smoke, reading the smoke and how that, you know, goes. Like after a while, you just kind of have your own understanding of it. Journal, like practice and write down. Like that's something that I used to do, is like just literally write down what happened, and then upon reflection, you know, like after say like 30 days, you can see key patterns that work for you, and you can also kind of see what's gone on that day, so you can kind of get a better indication for it. I hope that clarifies it.
yeah, that makes sense. I like that, like recording it to kind of see patterns that arise. I like just kind of like doing it using your intuition to let it guide you, because I don't know, like maybe other listeners feel the same way, but I'm always like, what, like how am I supposed to know what this means? Like there must be a rule book or something, like especially like the few times we've seen other divination in movies, like I think about like Harry Potter in their divination class, and like they're reading like the tea leaves or whatever, and they have like the instructions, or it's like, oh, if it looks like this, that's what it means. If it looks like this, that's what it means. And I'm always like, where do you get those instructions?
Right. Oh my God. Like kudos to the people with this kind of imagination, because sometimes I just cannot think that far ahead. No, I completely understand. Like, do you know what's a good place to look as well? Like dream meanings, like their books with like a neuromancy, like they have the symbolism in there. So that's a great like reference guide if you're looking for shapes of things. But also if you wanted to just get started, like just make your own simple like I call them divination boards. People can call them like Ouija boards because that's the main brand. But also, if you think of like a pendulum, you know, you've got yes, no, perhaps, try again. Like create something like that for yourself. Like start with something, you know, you don't have to spend money to do this. This is something you could like create with paper. You could create it in your journal where you're going to be tracking this information anyway, right? And use something personal to you, like a necklace or like a ring on some string, like dactylomancy, that's kind of related to that. And just sit with it. And once you're, you know, cleansed, grounded, centered, however your ritual process looks for you, and you, like however you do things, just enjoy it. Because if it ain't fun, why are we doing it? Like it's a waste of time, you know?
Yeah. I think that's like my biggest draw. When I saw the different methods, I was like very excited. I was like, whoa, you can do divination in this way and this way and this way. Like, I think personally, I love trying new things. So like learning a new thing, trying a new method just seems like really exciting for me. So I love that. That can be like, if you're feeling maybe your ritual, your practice is like feeling stale, like maybe picking up like a new form, something that's like really exciting you in the moment. I like the idea of like anything can be made into divination.
Yeah, it's so creative though, right? Like it doesn't have to be just like A7 size pieces of cardboard giving you shit on the daily. Like no, like you can actually try something fun and new for you. So
I love that. So in terms of divination, like I know you use it mostly to help people with like their businesses. So what, like, how did you get to that point and saying like, I can use this? I know like people get like psychic readings and tarot readings for business, but it feels like for you and the way you do it, it's like, it's more than that. Like, it's not like, oh, what's the direction I should take? Am I on the right path? It's more like you said, nuance, like for posting content, for having strategy. So like, how did you get to that point and how do you use it in your practice?
that is an amazing question. Okay, so originally this wasn't supposed to be as big as it is. Like this was not how I started doing things. This was so my background includes like working ridiculous hours in event management and project management and marketing. I also have like a history of working in retail and hospitality. So like I'm massively my community kind of person. Like I love helping out. I love getting stuck in. I want to help in that way. So when I started with offering a tarot reading service, more and more people were coming to me for career readings. I was like, okay, so this is clearly my jam. Like we can do this. And like I say, divination was my like process. My I don't know, like, it was like my own kind of safety setting. I don't know how to describe it better than that. And it got to a point with one of my clients that she was like, you know, I've tried this and I'm doing this in my own practice and I'm doing this and that and the other. What more could we try? And I was like, well, in my own personal practice, I try this. Is this something that you might be interested in? So we did. And like everybody loves doing like personality quizzes. Everybody loves to learn a little bit more about themselves. So along this process, I was like, I think you might be linked up with a certain type of divination. How would you feel about me creating a divination ritual just for you, like completely personalized? And we'll see how it helps your business. So to date, I've now done like 40. personalized divination rituals for people with their businesses and to help them find their answers. And like, it's literally a range of zygomancy, which is with weights, using weights to divine answers and insight. That one was for quick decisions. Okay. You know, when you've got a lot on your plate and you need to kind of, I work with a lot of neurodivergent witches as well, and queer witches. And so like a lot of the time, like we've got a lot going on. We just need someone on our side, right? So zygomancy, or what have I been doing recently? I have this like hardcore, excellent weed smoking witch pal that I've done a philomancy personalized ritual for. So that's like the veins and the patterns you see on leaves, like you know, like the handy if you're working with a lot of green. And then hydromancy, so like working with raindrops and water, and even just in a shower, it's like at the end of the day, like watching how the water trickles down, you're thinking on your answers. You need some kind of creative release, because a lot of the time we have a lot of ideas coming to us too. How to kind of separate that out. So it's just kind of organically merged, all of it in one, and now it's just like a service that I offer like as a standard. So it's been amazing, really, because everybody, like you've said, like there's so many different ways to do this. It's like, yeah. And so what I am working on now for like helping people in my community, because I do like love to gift, it's my love language. I'm like working on giving out free resources on divination for business, like tips to help you. So everything from like astrology to like using crystals, lithomancy. I just wrote about meteoromancy, using shooting stars. So we're all prepped and prepared for this year's Lionsgate and Perseid media shower. You know, like I'm literally like, that's how far ahead, like I'm planning. So yeah, I'm excited. There's like, it's all merging, it's all coming together, and I'm really grateful that I can share it with you all.
Yeah. And like, even this is a free resource, right? Like now people, you can like be like, come here, listen to this.
Exactly, right? Like this is so exciting. And do you know what? I love this podcast. Like I genuinely do. Like I was listening to Melinda's podcast. I was listening to I've forgotten her name, From the Brewer's Tomb. That was amazing.
Alexa, yeah.
Yes, that was so good. And you've had so many amazing guests. This is such an epic podcast. Like I just enjoy listening. So yeah. Like when you had Amara on as well, like, yeah, you're a fantastic host. This is great. So I'm really, really happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you. That's like really affirming. I'm like, okay, we can end the episode now. I'm kidding.
Just put it on a high.
Yeah, it's like, that's it, everyone. So I'm curious, like, let's say you're a business owner, or maybe you're not, and you're like, I'm neurodivergent, I have all these things going on in my head. I want to learn or start incorporating like divination more. Like, what are maybe like the most common ways that you see it coming up in people's business? Like, how are they using the divination in their business? And maybe like, what are like beginner like ways we can start incorporating it if we don't use it like all the time?
Perfect. That's a great one. So what I would go with, just to break it down, is elemental for a start. Like we can do seasonal, elemental. We also look at how much time you got. Like, do you want big fuck off, like crazy rituals, or do you want like 2 minutes in the shower, like to yourself? So look at what time you've got. Look at what elements you're drawn to most. You know, are you like an air element type person? Do you like thoughts, communication and writing and spending time like just like cloud gazing, for example? Could that help you? You know, if you're on a commute to work, you've got a presentation that day, you're looking for a little bit of insight, how to step into some energy, check the symbols you can see in the clouds. You know, there's that. There's, like I say, water divination and working with aromas, like intuitively picking like scents that appeal to you and that can offer you some kind of protection or whatever the correspondence you're looking for, you know, intuitively picking that. I think that's a great way to start. Just look at what time have you got, like how much time do you want to spend on it, really, and what elements kind of appeal to you from that, and then it kind of checks the list, if that makes sense. Like you can soon get through it, you know. So let's start with you, right? Let's kind of do you. So what elements appeal to you?
I feel like water is really big for me. But I do have a lot of like Gemini air sign. So, but
Okay.
yeah, I like doing baths, like cleansing my energy in the shower. Like water has been big for me for cleansing, but yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And do you like working with the moon and intuitive things in that direction? Like, do you like dream work in that way?
Sort of like I've been trying to remember my dreams more, but I haven't like historically been super into that kind of stuff. I like,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I like working with nature a lot. I like going outside, like talking to trees, like being like in the sunshine and stuff like that.
Okay. So potentially, like, do you use a lot of salt in your own practice, if you don't mind me asking?
Ooh, salt? No. Interesting.
Okay. So there are two divination methods I could recommend for you. So the first one would be Brizomancy, which is related to the Greek goddess Brizo. She's very much to do with water, the tides. You mentioned your Gemini elements there, so like a lot to do with thinking. And what you could use is like a Brizomancy ritual in your bath and make it super sea salty, like a sea salt bath, and drink mugwort tea, because mugwort is related to Brizo, as well as it helps with divination. It's got correspondences for extra insight and divine connection. And yeah, drink some of this lovely magwati. Like, get yourself into this nice sea salty bath, and any like thoughts that come through for you, get it journaled down just before you go to bed, and any notes. And then when you wake up, note down anything that came up in your dreams as well. And the messages that come through are said to be related to the Greek goddess Rizo. So that's an interesting one. And then another one would be alomancy, which is salt again. You can make like a little salt well. Do you ever like bake cakes? Do you know what I mean when I say well? Like you kind of like have it in a pile and then you make
yeah,
call it like a well, like you make
or whatever.
Yeah, like you just like make a dip in the middle. Yeah. So pop some water in there and see how the salt kind of makes little patterns within the water itself. It's not super helpful to the earth, it's not super helpful to plants, but again, this is something you could do in a bathtub before you have like a cleansing shower or something. Just make a note of any symbols or signs or images that come to you when you're looking at this little section here. So that's called alomancy. That's similar to throwing salt. Like that's a very big thing, like throwing salt and checking the patterns that are left. So yeah, this is the kind of shit that happens in like a boss witch session with me. And I'm like, do you like this? And do you like this? And what about this? So it's just something fun to explore. Like literally write down all your favorite things. Like if you like working with a certain type of plant, like what are the correspondences of that plant, and exploring that further. And witches love research. We literally love any excuse for a book. We do. So just exploring and having fun with that, and just make it your own. Like find ways to make it really personal to you, because that will help you have this deeper connection. And there's nothing better, because you'll just build on your intuition. It's just a win-win, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that. I think like some of the stuff that you've been talking about, I realize I've done it, but I never thought about it as divination. Like I would wake up in the morning and like a lot of my jewelry is crystal jewelry. And like I'll just look and be like, which one is calling to me today? Like, and just grab that one. And so I think like one thing that I wanted to point out is like maybe you probably already are doing some form of divination method in your everyday practice, but maybe you're just not thinking about it in a magical way or in an intentional way for that purpose. So like you said, like think about things that you're already drawn to, what you already do. I like that. Like now, like I'm gonna be like, oh, you know, this is why I was picking all these like different crystals to work with for that day. Like I'm start looking up the intentions for what they are and things like that, you know. And the other thing that I wanted to point out, dang it just left out of my head. It'll come back to me, but yeah, I think that's good, like finding what you're drawn to, what you already like, and diving into that. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Like I like that you're saying like make it fun, make it personal to you, because I feel like that is one of the biggest things that we talk about on this podcast is like, do what resonates with you, do what works for you, go with your intuition. And I think sometimes with a lot of divination, at least in my practice as like a psychic medium and someone who helps people like grow their gifts, like sometimes with divination, we tend to like give away our power to the form of like I've seen people who like they could step into being a full psychic and they just rely on the tarot cards out of like the fear or like the lack of faith in themselves. And I feel like the way that you approach divination is like the reverse of that. It's like finding guidance, finding ease, like making my day easier, my decisions easier, my life easier through like stuff that I'm already into that I highly relate to. And so I think like if you're picking stuff that you like, it's like that the power is still there. It's like I'm choosing this because I like it, not because like everybody else does it or this is the only way that I was presented and how to do it. It's like this is a cool, like I put salt and water together and I figure out like how to make decisions that best suit me. Like that's just like the ridiculousness of it, like the way that it sounds like makes me so excited. I'm like, that sounds really cool. Like I feel like very weird and powerful like when I say that, right? So
right, no, that's amazing. Like you are literally magic. We are all magic. We are doing magical things, like you say, like intention or not, we are doing it all of the time, and that is so special. You were talking about how you pick your, like intuitively pick your jewelry per day kind of thing. Like to me, that's the same as pulling a tarot card, but not looking at it, going about your day and then looking at the tarot card at the end of the day. Like to me, that is exactly the same thing. Like that message is going to be there, whether you're aware of it or not.
Yeah. I think that's kind of like how I first started using crystals was like, I don't know what it means. I just know that I need this.
Love it. And then all of a sudden you're like 12 shelves deep with like all of the obscure, rare, like expensive minerals that you wish you didn't pick up, but
yeah, I'm like, ooh, this one's calling to me. Like, is it really calling to me, or is there just another one? Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Okay, so for you, like I don't know, I feel called to like ask you, like, how would you define divination, or how do you want people to like start viewing like divination? Because like I said, like if I say divination on the street, like people think tarot cards or something, right? Like I feel like the way that you're approaching it is different. And I don't know, I want to know like your internal like opinion perspective on what you feel like it is or it should be.
Oh my God. Okay. So love all of this. Like whenever I say to people that like, I'm proper into divination, they're like, what, Harry Potter? I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like that's literally where we go every time. So divination to me is, well, it's all like imagery based. It's psychology, like related, we are magic through and through. To me, divination is bringing the subconscious forward to present like conscious results and guidance. It empowers you, like 1,000,000% believe that divination is empowering. It's fun. It's personable. It helps drive this like intuitive connection with your community, with yourself. Like it's amazing to have this kind of connection with yourself, but also to something bigger, So I am personally secular. I don't work with deities. I don't work with spirits, ghosts, racist, great grandfathers. I'm doing it a lot. Like in my business. That's not what I promote. However, like, I'm completely open to it. There's that cheesy quote of, you know, science only goes so far, then comes God. And I believe that, like, there is so much left to be unexplained, but like, you know, I'm going to be curious enough to try and find out some of it. So yeah, it's like bringing the subconscious forward and just exploring that and building this connection with something more.
I love that. Yeah, I think like I was intuitively drawn to ask this question, and now I see why. Like in your description, because like I think that the examples that you're giving for what divination is, like that's different ways that we can use divination, right? Like you're saying, like it helps deepen your connection to yourself, deepen your connection to your community, to like your faith and whatever that is. And it helps, you know, basically shadow work, bring your subconscious forward. Like it helps you to have like more ease and answers in your life, instead of like, I don't know, like what's the right thing I should do, like spending
exactly. It's so true. Like it is empowering. Like it feels good to make decisions. It feels good to, you know, get some clear advice, some clear guidance. You don't have to take it. You don't have to believe in it. You can just chalk things up to coincidence, you know, or you can embrace synchronicities, you know, like however things are for you, you know. But divination has been around for so long, like so long, like before people could even like write, before they could properly communicate, like with language. Like it's well documented. It's crazy. It's not, I say it's crazy, like it's fucking amazing. Like it's wonderful. So yeah, like I'm absolutely the girl you want to chat with if you want to talk about divination at like 10 o'clock at night, like just dead randomly popping into my DMs. Like, yes, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I feel like when I was doing my research on divination, like it feels like there was a lot more in ancient times, because like as science and technology comes, it kind of like gave us the answers that maybe we were using divination for. And then like people kind of like lost faith in the divination. Like you said, oh, it's coincidence. Oh, it's just this, it's just that. And it's like, it could be both. Like it can be science and it could be magic, right? Like I feel like they're kind of like, you can't have one without the other.
1,000,000%.
Yeah, I don't know if like you've seen that, like yeah, a lot of this stuff was like very ancient stuff. They're like used in like with the Greeks, used with this. Like I've never seen, there was one like with milk or something. I was like, I've never seen this. Like this must be like outdated or something. But I like that you say you're upcycling things. So
yes, 1,000,000%. Like one of my favorite ones is that I've upcycled. I'm like, I'm really excited about this. Nobody could give a shit, but I will tell everybody, like, I'm really excited about this. So it's wishbones. You know how people, like, they used to have the goose, I just instantly thought of Mother Goose then, but the goose, like neck bone, collarbone, and they'd snap it, and whoever had the pointy side would basically have a granted wish, essentially. So I've now got like a vegan version of that. Like, you know, I've got like CBD friendly, like weed smoking friendly, pagan parenting friendly, like methods of divination that I'm just absolutely loving. Like, it's really nice to be able to write about this and to create little rituals for folks to try and enjoy. And like you say, like try something new. Like, you know, you've done your tarot, what's next? You know, there's the usual tarot and oracle and normand, you've got pendulum dowsing, you've got runes, like throwing bones, like throwing stones, like there's certain things like people have done. But have you literally been spinning around in a circle, like that's like you've drawn an alphabet on the beach before? Have you done that? Like, you know, like that is what I'm excited to share with everybody. So yeah, sorry, I can't stop smiling because I'm giddy.
Like, yeah, I can see like the excitement, and like I like that you're taking stuff and making it like friendly for different lifestyles and different types of like people. And I feel like that's a huge part of like feeling empowered in the divination practice, right? Because like some stuff, it like, you know, we all know there's like inherent problems with like how tarot was created and like who is represented and who is left out in tarot visuals and things. So these are definitely ways for you to be like, oh, I'm making my own that works for me. Like I'm incorporating the fact that I'm neurodivergent and I'm putting that in there. Like I love that. I'm curious too, like what like you said you worked a lot with neurodivergent like witches, and I feel like a large portion of the listeners here are also neurodivergent like me. I'm curious, like how has that like worked out? Like what is like common stuff that comes up with working with like neurodivergent witches and like finding divination that like works for them and things like that?
My favorite thing, I have to say, is when like it clicks. Like you know, you we collectively do things like exercise, for example, for either stimming purposes or for like part of our routines, because how important are they? You know, like how to make that more magical. And it's like actually things like just going for a run and the breath work that's happening when you're going for a run. It's just like realizing that actually I'm creating some power here, I'm creating some magic. And then like I, you know, do a reading shortly after that. You know, what a difference that makes. You know, it's just embracing that actually all these aspects of you make it even more magical. I'm not saying that you know, if you neurodivergent, you're not special. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's really great to see the positive aspects of there's certain areas that you didn't see before as being a positive, you know, like with divination and with witchcraft in general. Yeah, I'm like, have you ever seen that witch bingo? This is me like completely spanning out, you know, like this is literally what I do. But the witch bingo where they have all these catchphrases like, oh, I've got a crystal for that. And oh, look at this, like 30 million, you know, empty jar. Like I need this for something. Harden. I will come out with a lot of that. And it's really interesting to see how it all kind of connects and it can be used and it can be beneficial. And we're not just writing things off. We're not, you know, I'm like losing my train of thought here, but we're not, you know, it's all wonderful. It's all super helpful. It's super beneficial. And I find that witchcraft and divination can actually be like hugely beneficial to whatever's going on in your life. And embracing, like there are days where we have low energy. We do not have to be at 100 at all times, because we're not robots. We're not superhuman in that way. However, that doesn't make our power any less. We are not losing anything. We like our intuition doesn't dip just because we've not touched the tarot deck in like 7 weeks, you know. That remains, and that is amazing or wonderful, and something that we should keep celebrating and enjoying, because don't let these moments get you down. Like a lot of the time you can get these kind of negative thoughts, you know, the negative automatic thinking that comes in sometimes, where it's like, oh, I'm not doing this, so I'm very much that. And no. I find that having divination a great tool for self-care, and particularly tarot and astrology, they can be wonderful for me like a coverall blanket. No, that's not what that is. It's not a weighted blanket. It's a it's more like it's great to incorporate it, because it is a form of self-care. If you know these things about you, if you know like what's going to trigger you in some sort of way, you know, knowledge is power in that aspect, and it doesn't make you any less. Yeah. I just went off on a tangent there. Sorry.
No, I kind of see where you're going with that, because like I feel the same way. Like a lot of the grace that I've given myself has come from like getting an astrology chart reading or like getting a human design reading or things like that. And it's like, oh, like my body is just built this way. So like I don't have to keep judging myself for like why I'm like this. And I think like you're saying, like divination can be used the exact same way. Like I know that as a person with ADHD, I'm going to have tons of ideas flowing in all the time. So this is a tool that I can help to like kind of like funnel them into which one should I do? Like which one is actually the thing for me? You know, like I'm feeling really overwhelmed, like, and it's like you said, maybe it's a low energy day. I don't have the mental capacity to like focus on like, what should I focus on? The divination can help like clarify those things for me. So I'm not spending like 3 hours of my day, like looking at social media every time I type one letter on the keyboard and like getting overwhelmed and feeling like out of my body and like spiraling. Instead, it's like, let me just like consult my like personal divination method and go from there. Like, I know for me with ADHD, like we thrive on external like stimulus. So like I could totally see how like using divination more, it's like that external, like the things that I should focus on this today. So now I have a reason to do it, you know, like I think that I totally see where you were going with this. Like it is,
thank you.
I see it more because like, yeah, I before, like not gonna lie, like I felt like divination was kind of just like people seeking answers that they feel like they didn't have power to, right? Like, and now it's kind of like the way you use it is like flipping it. It's like I have the power and I'm just like focusing it, I'm calling upon it, you know, like I'm making it, I don't know, like I just see it as like those like in the Indiana Jones movies, like those ancient things where like the sunlight peeks through and it's like reflected, and yeah, like it's like very hyper focused, and like that's where I'm spending my time and energy on today. Like this is where I'm helping myself. Yeah,
1,000,000%. Like for example, you know, like the Eisenhower matrix, you know, they're important, not important, urgent, non-urgent, you know, to help you with like tasking and getting shit done that day. You know, we talked earlier about making your own pendulum boards. You were saying, you know, you get floods of creativity and like a ton of ideas and everything. You're like, oh my god, I want to get stuck into so many things all at once. Like that happens to like so many people. And like we've found like through 3 of my boss switches, like just popping those down as if it's a pendulum board itself, you know, can be really beneficial. You know, that is like done, 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 done. Let's go. Where are we going to focus first? And then here we are, like, you know, so it's really fun. Like, I wish we had like more, you know, I wish there was like a live chat here of people just typing in like, oh, what do you think for this? Because like, it's great to have so many ideas. And I think between us as a community, we can all support each other and to help each other on days where we are like 4 hours deep on Pinterest, like, oh shit, like, well, really need to shower, but oh shit, like, I
feel that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that example that you gave like gave me a lot of ideas. Like, yeah, I can write down those like 7 ideas on a piece of paper and let my pendulum like guide me towards which one is like feeling the best right now, or which one will be the best use of my time. You know, like I feel like I get a lot of ideas out of like scarcity like mindset, where it's like, oh, not I want to be creating this, but like I think I should so I can make money or people would like it. Like that would be really, you know, having clarity, like, is this actually something I should pursue? You know, like using your divination in that way. I'm getting like all these ideas.
Well, I mean, like right here, like I'm in Budapest at the moment. We're traveling like as a family, but like even now it's like 10:30, nearly 11 o'clock or something at night, and you know I'm just gonna come off this call and just be like going wild in my own practice, like with nothing here. I just like got little packets of salt from the airport. I'm like, oh, what can I do with that, you know? Like but it's very much like, let's not leave all the answers to the universe. Like I said before, like you can see like what insights are there, and then you choose to follow through with it or not. Like you honor your energy, you honor your practice and how things are going to look for you, you know, like what your day-to-day is going to be. You know, sometimes it's good to just stop, have a minute, focus, but choosing to, that's where the real power is, I think, like choosing to take that advice and go from there.
I often like, I feel like that comes up in psychic readings. People are like, oh, you're gonna tell me like my future, and I'm like, well, I could tell you, but you can still change it. Like you can decide any of this.
Right.
I like that. And I don't know if this has come up, but I'm curious to know, like, I've done like I don't know if you've done like the human pendulum.
Like over your body?
Yeah, I just like use my body as the pendulum. And I've noticed like different answers based off like who I'm addressing as well. Like spirit guides, should I do this? Like my body, what do I want to do? You know, like I don't know if that's something that comes up in your practice or that you have like advice on.
Not in my own personal practice, but I think that's an awesome way to connect with yourself, and an amazing way to build on your own intuition. You know how earlier I said, like, maybe just try something for 30 days. I mean, 30 days is pretty non-committal. Like, you can be 7 days in and be like, this isn't working. That's cool. Like, you know, it's a 30-day free trial. Let's try this fucking divination. So for those who are using their body for intuition, I mean, that's just energy work all over, isn't it? That is something that's been around for so long and so trusted to so many like cultures and communities. So there is science behind it. Like, I could not right this moment list off who to speak to. Oh, I know, like the Masaru Emoto guy, the professor who's talking about how like moon water is actually changed because of the molecules and stuff. Yeah, like I'm sure he's probably, or they have written something about it, because there are so many different ways that different energies impact us. And, you know, it wouldn't be surprising to learn that things are actually like, there is like a magnetic pull, like there is that kind of otherworldly, like there isn't a word for it yet, maybe like electromagnetic, I don't know, like there's something there. Like, we gotta trust that. We don't know everything, we never will know everything, but it's really fun to try. It's really exciting to just give yourself permission to explore and play with it. So for you, just if that's what you're working on at the moment in your own practice, like how long have you been doing this, may I ask?
Yeah, that was one of the first things that I learned when I was learning how to be a psychic. So I don't do it like every single day, but I've been a psychic for like 2 years now. So like my mentor was like, you know, my big thing was like, you need to trust yourself. So like this is a way you can like learn to trust yourself, is like by using your like listening to your intuitive body, right? Like, so yeah, I've been doing it on and off. Like I did it a lot when I first started, obviously. Now I just do it like sometimes when I feel like I'm very like out of my body or uncentered. I'll like, you know, I use this a lot for food because I will emotional eat. So it's like, wait a minute, let me ask, like, am I actually hungry right now? Do I actually want to eat? And I'll do like the pendulum thing. Like, what should I actually eat? What will make me feel satisfied? So I use it a lot for stuff like that, like smaller decisions. Instead of just like being in my mind and like making the decision and then like halfway through I'm like, I don't want to eat this, like why did I do this?
Right. Yeah, like you say, like trusting yourself and your intuition, and it's practice as well, I guess. Like it's just continuing to get to know yourself and your energies. And I mean, if you were like split in two, right, and you had this partnership with another physical person, you're like, it's a relationship that takes work, that takes trust, that takes like faith, and just letting that grow and growing together versus you know, individual wants, needs, ego, shadow aspects. Like it's literally a collective setting. Even though it's two of you, you know, you've got to work together. So maybe as advice, I'd say like trust this kind of like alter ego, I don't know what you'd like to call it, like trust this power within you, and like trust that it's going to be guiding you to make the right decisions. I mean, has it steered you wrong so far?
I don't think so. I mean, I usually use it for smaller stuff, so maybe it's
But small stuff is still important, you
yeah.
know, like small things make a big picture, don't they? So just keep going. I don't see why not. Like, you're not telling me anything here that's like screams danger, danger, you know?
Yeah, no, I think I was just asking, like, not really like my personal thing, but I was asking like if you've had encounters with like the difference between like who you like are asking the question to, if that makes sense.
Right. Like when I'm doing my own personal readings and
Yeah,
such.
like in any divination, like I know like sometimes like when I'm doing readings, like people would want to ask like their spirit guides for the answer, or they want to ask like their past loved one for the answer, you know, like different things. Like I was just asking like in any of your like work or your practice that you've done with people with divination, have you had like any experiences like do I get a different answer if I ask like spirit guides? Do I get a different answer if I ask my own intuition or my higher self? Like if you've had stuff around that.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, like I pretty much always start my readings with like, I'll be honest, like I don't work with deities. I use my own intuition. Like I lean on my own experience, like my own. And these are my interpretations. However, like this is a discussion, you know, like let's talk about it. You know, if you have been feeling something from your spirit guides, let's explore that like through a conversation, you know. There have been times where I've done readings for people and they've asked me for stuff, like questions or like advice or like additional insights and stuff. And like it does feel sometimes a little not icky. That's not the word. Like really to use as it. That's not a nice word. But like you can kind of tell that something's off. Like you know when you get the milk out of the cupboard, out of the fridge, and you're like, and before you even open it, you're like, this ain't going to be right. So we do like rewrite questions a little bit. We rephrase a lot. I'm sure you do that too. Like, I don't think this question is going to be what you're looking for. For the most part, though, I'm pretty brutal. I'm not doing any relationship readings. If you're coming to me for a relationship reading, you should be having a conversation about your relationship within your relationship. Like, you know, like I am not the witch for you for that. Like, no, I will tell you straight off the bat, no. But yeah, like in relation to career and things like that, I'm not just always going to be like, quit your job.
Yeah.
Go for that, go for the promotion. Like, yeah, like no. We explore it. It's a conversation, it's a dialogue, you know, and it is about like you trusting you and your experience because you know, I'm just interpreting the message. I'm not you know, I've always said like I'm not a divination expert, I'm a divination student. Like I am always going to be learning this and I'm always going to be enjoy learning about it. And I pick up messages from everybody that we meet. You know, like I learn something new from everyone we meet, even from tonight. Like I'm learning something new. So it's lovely. It's amazing. It's so enriching, honestly.
I'm curious though.
So,
like, you talked about like if they ask a certain question, you're like, let's reword this. Like, do you have like advice around that? Because that is a big part of divination, right? Like your intention. What's your question that you're looking for an answer for? I don't know if you have like any like advice or like guidelines for like forming your question in a way that will be like the most empowering or give you the most help or things like that.
I mean, like I am a community witch. Like if you're looking for your own like growth, here for it. If you're looking for how like you can help yourself make a shitload of money and then you not give any of that money back to the community, I'm not the witch for you. Like I am really brutal. So look at your own intentions. Look at why you want to know the question, like answer. You know, like look at why you want to get that insight to begin with, and be braced for any answer that like I may give you, but like that you'll also receive. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you know, if you're exploring something and you're not sure what to expect, well, why are you asking?
Yeah.
You know, like be ready. Because the answer, like I say, may surprise you from myself or any other divination provider like yourself. Like you're a psychic, like you have these intuitive messages you interpret from spirit guides. Imagine if, like, have you ever had like a spirit guide be like, what the fuck are you doing with your life to a client? Like, have you ever had anything like that?
Yeah, I've had like some spirit guides come in like really hot. Like I gave this reading and like this lady was concerned, like, so it was a loved one, which usually like I know how you feel about that, but like she was with this guy and then the ex came back into the picture and the guy like immediately was like, okay, I want to explore with my ex. I think we should just be friends. And she was like, so what can I do to get him to like be into me again? Like what can, and I was like, the spirit guides were like, don't do it. Like, just stop. This is wasting your time. It's not like, he doesn't want you. Why would you try and convince him? Like, and I like said that, and she's like, yeah, I know they've told me that already, but like, what else can I do? And I was like, they're not like, they just kept saying like, it's not good for you. It's not good for you. Like, don't do this. Like, you're going to change who you are.
Oh,
like,
God.
you're wanting this man to want you who doesn't want you. Like, he's told you that. Like, so yeah, I have had like some stuff come through, or I don't think like I'm in the healing, like I help people heal, so like a lot of stuff like doesn't feel like as intense to me because I'm used to like healing stuff and like admitting like when I made a mistake or whatever. So like I gave tarot readings to my like little cousins. I was like, they're like, oh, it's so cool, like let's try it. And then afterwards everyone was quiet. They were just like, you called me out, like I wasn't ready to hear this, but I needed to like focus on my feelings and like I need to step up, or like. So I have had stuff like that before where people are like, dang. And I'll usually say like, my favorite thing is like, they're coming in pretty hot, like they're coming in spicy, so just beware. Like, yeah, I have that.
Yeah, it is literally that, isn't it? Just be prepared. Like, if you're going to ask the question, be prepared for any answer. Like,
That's
be
true.
braced for it, because that's fair if you are asking for like subconscious reasons, or if you're asking the spirit world. Like, that's a big ask, like that's not a light situation, is it normally? So, let's be fair with that. It's going to be a heavy one. Let's make sure we take care of ourselves afterwards. We've got like a plan for afterwards, like you're gonna have a cigarette or a juicy J or like lots of smoothies or something. Like, take care of yourself afterwards, some sunlight, some fresh air, and that's another thing as well. Like, people think with divination, it's such a spooky bish situation. I'm like, no. It's honestly sometimes just getting roasted by cards. Like, it's really not like always doom and gloom and cobwebs and some haggard. I mean, like, I can be haggard. I love being a little bit messy and rough. Like, that is my vibe. Like, everything is just a little bit haphazard. But it's so fun. Like, it's so fun to challenge these kind of Harry Potter notions that people have about divination, I'm not gonna just show up with like massive glasses and like googly eyes, like, what the fuck. No, I'll come in with like big boyfriend cardigans and stuff. Like, that's more my vibe. Cozy as fuck.
Yeah, but I do like what you talked about, like, what's your intention for the question? I think that's something that's really important. Like, I think sometimes that can even like give you your answer before you even ask the question. Like, maybe it's not necessary for me to ask like for guidance on this, because before I asked, what's my intention? Oh, I'm just looking to be validated, like, oh, I'm just I'm just looking for the easiest way out, or like, I'm actually doing this out of fear. So it's like, well, chances are if you're doing it out of fear, then like maybe you don't need to do it at all, right? Like, that's not in alignment with your like business or whatever. So I like that as like a prerequisite for even like beginning. Like, why am I seeking the guidance? What type of advice or answers am I looking for? And that can help like frame a lot of like what the question will be, or even if you need to ask it. I like that. That's a really good piece of insight. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, before we end, is there like any promo, anything you want to do? Like, how can we reach you? Where can we find you? As always, I'll put it in the show notes and all that stuff. But yeah, what are you working on? How can people find you on the internet?
Amazing. Well, you can find me on backyardbanshee.com, and over the next few weeks I will be promoting some amazing like divination resources for businesses. There's currently like 4 on my website already. All you have to do is load it up, backyardbanshee.com. There's like a BOSSWITCH tab, hit that, and you'll just see all these divination for business like goodies, really, which is so exciting. I'm also making it as accessible as possible for people to learn tarot. So like, you can learn tarot for free through my website. There's some divination rituals for you to try on there, like nothing to do with business, just for yourself, just to kind of get to know yourself and see what you like. And yeah, like come and join me, drop me an email. Like I'm on Instagram, I'm on Pinterest, like we'll be on TikTok a little bit more soon. So like swing on by, say hi. I'm like super casual, as you can tell. Like I'm probably not even wearing a bra when you say hello, you know, like I'm super low-key. Like, yeah. So thank you so much for having me. This is amazing.
Yeah, it was really great to have you on. I definitely, when I was doing that divination episode, like I felt like I'm just researching and regurgitating what I learned. Like, so I love having you on and you're like, I've tried these things. I'm now making my own rituals. Like I help people with them. Like that's so empowering and so amazing. Like to show people like you can do it. Like you can make your own. You don't have to follow like the ancient way that you read about in some textbook. Like just
right
for you.
How are we gonna do like vegan like entrail reading? Like we ain't doing that. Like let's no, come on, you know, like come on. So yeah, 1,000%. I really enjoyed doing it, and thank you so much for having me. This is like obviously got me super hyped up now for the evening. I feel like I could just go out and do all sorts of weird shit under this like waxing moon, you know, like I'm so excited. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thanks for being our first on the on Instagram stories. I think I called it thanks for being our first transcontinental guest.
Living. Like I'm just gonna call myself that from now on. That'll do. Transcontinent.
I know, I just like I don't know why that came into my mind. That was like the term that they used when they were doing like when the phones were being invented. It's like the first transcontinental phone call. And I just feel like that's so old, like the word. But yeah, that's what came to my mind.
Amazing. No, I'm here for it. Like embrace it. Obviously, it was some kind of message from somewhere. So we'll take it. We love this. Amazing. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
Yes. And bye everybody until next time.
Thank you for listening to Witchy and Weird Pod. If you want to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest, follow us on the socials under Witchy and Weird Pod. And if you want to stay in contact with our host, Amanda, follow them on IG under Amanda Sakratoff Intuitive and Twitter and TikTok under Amanda Sakratoff. And if you love Witchy and Weird Pod and want to support all that we do, become a patron and get access to exclusive benefits like discounts on merch, bonus content, and woo-woo experiences. As usual, everything is linked in the show notes. Bye!